Hey everybody, this is our second of 4, our quadruple header tonight, this afternoon. Michele, well, as you may or may not know, she really thinks out of the box. She started on her all food journey by doing a 21-day cleanse, and a part of it was raw food. And she lost, over the last 3 years, continuing on raw food. She had such a good experience that she continued with it and ended up losing over 100 pounds in the last 3 years. And then one day, she got someone subscribed to her website, Super Raw Life. And she thought, who's this Elaina Love Pure Joy who's subscribing to my site? What is this Pure Joy? It feels so good. And then so she Googled and came right to, of course, our website and decided that she wanted some Pure Joy too. So she's going to be giving us a demonstration tonight. Let's give a hand for Michele and thinking outside of the box.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a minute. Mike, thank you. That soup, the pacho that you made was delicious. I really enjoyed it. And if anyone who's been here the last few weeks has noticed, Mike has a constant smile on his face. I love that. The first few days wasn't there, but it's always here. So thank you. It always makes me smile. So I do appreciate that. So just wanted to take a minute. Like everyone else here, we have one thing in common. Can anyone think of the one thing that we have in common? Let's see, yeah, everyone, pretty much everyone here. We what?
We're all conscious thinkers.
We're all conscious thinkers. That's a good one. We want to be healthy.
We have cells.
We have cells, yes. Those are all great answers. We are all officially low glycemic, gluten-free certified chefs from the Pure Joy Culinary Academy. So thank you for all being here, and thank you, Elaina, for the program that you put together and everything that you're teaching us. I've really, really enjoyed it. So what I wanted to do is, we've all been here for a couple of weeks, and for me, I missed Easter with my family and my sons, which at first I thought would be really hard, but actually it wasn't. It's been great here, and so I know all of you too who were here miss spending that time and what you normally do for Easter. And so I decided to go to a workshop. It was a communication workshop. Learned a lot of great information that not only can I incorporate in with my family, but also, you know, with anyone that I work with, anyone I communicate with. And on the walk home, I stopped by a lady's house. Her name is Yoman. She lives down the street. I had met her several times before since being here, and every time I'd walk by, I'd stop and say hello. And so I thought, well, I'll stop by and see Yoman, because she's, you know, we've gotten a close relationship since I've been here. And when I went up, she was sitting on her porch in the evening, and she was making these little boxes. And so I sat with her for a couple of hours on Easter, and she taught me how to make these. It was a really neat experience, very time consuming. I've made them 2 different ways. So you've got the organic way, which these are from a coconut tree. So if you look up at the coconuts, the leaves on it, that's what this is off of. You can go and climb a tall tree or pay someone to climb one for you, or do what I did and find a short tree that you could reach from the ground. So thank you, Nina, for going with me to find a coconut tree that we could reach. So what you do with these is, this one is all natural and organic. I've used the leaves from the coconut tree, and as you can see, they are hooked together with the little sticks, which is actually part of the coconut leaf. So you're using the entire, you know, portion of the leaf for putting them together. So what you do is you have your leaf, you separate them off from the main stem, and of course they're full of all types of fun stuff, because it's bugs' homes, usually. They're spider webs. There were ants when I got them. And you would separate out this back spine part, is what I would call it, and this is what they stitch it together with. And if you've noticed them lying around town, they use them for ceremonies, they use them for offerings. I've seen people serve food in them, and a lot of them have staples because it's quicker. I spent a good hour and a half making this one little box, trying to put through the little pieces, ripping pieces and trying again. And so I ended up using staples in the others. Goes a lot quicker. An hour and a half, a couple of minutes. Definitely You know, the organic way is the best way that I would choose to do it, dependent on the time. And of course, if it's something that you do with the tradition and you're always making them, you're going to get really quick and efficient. When I was at her house, it took me a half hour with her help. She had one done in about a minute. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to put together and show you how to make these. And keep in mind, I know we don't always all live in a tropical environment. Right now we all are for the month, and so we have access to it. But think outside of the box and keep in mind in your area what different types of leaves and plants you could use to put together little boxes to be able to present and serve your food in, use as different, you know, ideas, things like that for gifts. I've seen where they've made little planter boxes and they actually have a plant growing in it, and instead of going and buying the plastic containers that they come in, they're in a taller box, and then you can take that and it's all organic. So what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to make a square one and also how to make a triangle one. You're going to want to clean it off. So we've got a towel here. You can use, if you'd like, you can use a vinegar, you could use lemon, you could use peroxide. It really depends on what you're going to be using it for and how much of the dirt, and as we learned in our class, B12, that you would want to clean off of it, since that's the one way through bugs that you can get it by the study in the indigenous areas. So start by cleaning it, and then what you can do is, I'm using scissors. Of course, when I was down at Yoman, she was using an old rustic knife. So you're going to want to cut one end flat, and then you're going to decide what you're going to be using it for, how big you're going to make it. So we'll just do these ones small. So you decide, okay, I want to make a little box, so you just fold it across, make your pattern. You can cut a pattern and follow the same pattern across, or I found if you just bend it back and forth, you can do the same thing. So bend that. And let's start by making the triangle one. It's kind of a fun shape. So with the triangle, you're going to want 4 sides to it. Triangle has 3 sides, but by the time you fold it together and then have a lip to go over, typically, you know, what I found worked best was 3.5. So cut that there. And then you're going to want to make sure when you trim it, so you fold it, and if you can see, you've got the creases, so you can see where you need to cut. You want to only cut on one side of it because you want the outside of the box to be sealed. So then you're just going to take your scissors and your knife. You're going to trim it up so that you've got half of it cut. And then with the triangle, it works best if you take out a little section so as it folds over, it doesn't bind up. So we'll just cut that out. And once you have that, you just take and you fold it. The nice thing with the small ones is you actually don't have to make a bottom for it. You notice on this big one, it's a lot of leaves stitched together. And so if you're just serving one little small thing and you want it as an accent on your plate, if you do it small enough for the one thing to fit, then it binds and makes its own bottom. So we'll bring that across. We'll use our stapler for this one. And then you can staple there, up to the bottom. The nice thing about when they're flexible and fresh is you can actually bend them and they don't break. I would assume if you had the leaves and they were drying out for a while, they would be harder to work with, so I would recommend working with them fresh. We went and got these yesterday. So then you've got one stage of your box. And you could do it like this, or you can take it one stage farther to make it more secure. And what you do is you build another box to go opposite. So a fun idea would be to make a great big plate. So for, you know, take this, make it larger, and then make a smaller box inside of it, and have to where people can actually put their food. You can have your salad, and then you can have, you know, something else in there to be able to eat organically. Use wooden spoons like they offer through Bali Angels, and you can have a completely organic meal, less the staples if you choose to do it the other way. Fold this one around to get our pattern. What are some ways that you guys think you could use something like this in your chefing?
Slice this thing.
Soup spoon holder?
Soups, you would have to get...
When you're mixing the soup, you put it in, so you have to already down.
Okay, that's a great idea. That is a very good idea. And I assume you could get creative because if you had something that was more runny, it would leak out through the holes in the bottom. And so you could layer, you know, like bigger banana leaf up on the sides underneath your base to help add an extra amount.
It'd be nice to have a candle in there, and if the wax overflowed, it would just sit on the banana.
Candle would be a great way. Just look up this one.
I was thinking if you had like a say a Thai dish or some kind of yummy food, and that had a hot sauce in it, even if it was leaking out into the rest of the thing, it would be flavoring it fun.
That is true. That's a great idea. Would have been really pretty the other night.
So the bottom is the sides.
The bottom is the sides on the new. On this one, because it's small enough. If you have a large one, then you're not going to have that effect. And you're going to have a gap, and what you need to do is just figure out some sort of leaf or piece together the coconut leaves to cover the base. So then we'll take our staple, do this one. And I am actually going to show you how it works. You want to make sure it's a little thicker, so you don't want it to be too thin, at least for my experience at this point. I'm only making 3 the natural way. It works better having a thicker one because I put a little bit of force into it, and the thinner ones break. Although when she was doing it, she just weaved it right through really quickly and had it down good. So I assume with practice, you could utilize more of the stem from the coconut. Another thing that you do is if you cut it at an angle, so it's pointed, it actually helps you push through the leaf better. And so for example with this, what you would do is you would take your stick, your coconut vine, and see it, that's too thin for that one. And you would push through an angle. Let's go a little thicker. Take it and bring it back the opposite way. It's one of those arts that is a learned tradition, which is quite a Oh yeah, I would assume. Sitting out with mother and grandmother, making them for all of the blessings and rituals. Another thing that you can do if you're running into a thick spot and it doesn't seem to be pressing through is you could use a pin. You could make a sharp point on a thicker stick and pre-poke your holes where you want it to go through. So for example, I want to bring it back through up here. So I'm going to stick, push a hole, and then we'll just guide the other one back through it. So that was one way I learned to help make it a little bit easier. And then just trim it down. And then you've got it held together with the stick right there. So put that right there. Another thing that was interesting when I went to her house is she doesn't speak much English, and of course I don't speak much Balinese yet. And so what she had is she was trying to explain to me what she did for a living, and she had a pile of sticks set on a log, and I saw it, and she showed it to me. So I had my camera, and I started photographing it at all these crazy angles, and I was like, that's it, what do you do? Weave it together. And she looked at me, and she started to laugh, and she picked it up, and she started to squeak with it. So when I was with her on Easter, she gave this to me as a gift, and she brought over 2, and she gave me the tall one because I'm tall, so that when I go back to America, I can have a broom to sweep with. So I'm going to see how to fit this into my case and take that home with me. So this is 1,000 rupiah. What is that worth to you? $1,000 rupiah would be equivalent to 10 cents US dollars. Okay. She made a basket like this with 4 little ones, and she would take them to the market to sell to support her family. And what took me a half hour to do, I could have sold at the market for 10 cents. She took it to the market. So if you're making these and giving them, this is 2 cents. But in all reality, what is a tradition worth to you? What is learning a lost art and being able to take it home and share it in your presentations? Of course, you all know I like chocolate. And so I made some sugar-free chocolates, and we're going to serve them in little boxes. So these are some little buttercups. They're sugar-free. These have the xylitol in them. And then the others, we didn't have many choices of sweeteners, so we put some stevia, we put some lucuma and maca, and then they have a butterscotch taste to them. So there's actually, you can take a heart, that was the leftover from dipping macadamia nuts, and then you can take a box of the buttercup. And they're all sugar-free. This is butterscotch, and this is butterscotch macadamia nut dipped in butterscotch chocolate, and then this is like a buttercup, kind of like a peanut butter cup.
All right, let's give a hand for Michele. Thinking outside the box. A few minutes to get your demo ready. You've got
There's
Angela.
actually one of each, so they just didn't fit in the box.
Which one's the butterscotch one?
This one and that one. So that's macadamia covered nut, and that's just mac.